Hello, everyone, and welcome to Meticulous Talks on August 5th. I am, as always, Cursed Chords.
And I'm Hifrock.
You excited, Hithrock?
Oh, yeah. I'm jumping as we speak right now.
Nice. Yeah. We've spent... Build up to Continentals has been like 2-3 months since Windy City, I guess. That was the last major event. But it is coming next week.
Yeah, in less than a week.
Less than a week, yes. So the start of it.
Have you settled on the decks?
I have.
Uh-huh.
Have you?
Well, I kind of had to because I don't have the cards.
Right,
so GP
right.
will be gladly lending them to me.
We covered that. Yeah.
Yes.
Fair enough. But
Otherwise, I would rebuild my deck in the last minute, like before 5 minutes before submitting it.
Of course, yeah. Well, yeah. Everyone, I'm sure, is looking forward to that. But this stream isn't about Continentals. There's been plenty enough talk in that regard lately. This stream is about what comes after it. And
yeah,
namely our fourth running of the Invitational, the Meticulous Talks Invitational, and the big change this year. We announced it at the last stream. For those of you who haven't found out yet, I want to get the word out so no one gets blindsided by it. If you are participating, then you will have the not option. You will be required to choose one card in one format that will be banned for everybody for the tournament. And since this is such a big deal, thought it would be wise to have a stream to talk about some options for that.
yeah.
I
know a card that immediately comes to my mind.
Well, so the interesting thing, I suppose, for anyone who might be watching, is that Hithrock is if we were to cut the standings today, you actually would be getting an invite, Hithrock.
Oh, would I?
Yeah. So your thoughts on this matter are somewhat interesting for that reason.
Oh.
But
Well, it depends on Continentals.
yes. Everything depends on Continentals, of course, as it always does. But just keep that in mind. But feel free to share your thoughts if you have them.
Yeah.
Now this stream, I think we're gonna focus on the core decks, mostly because we haven't. There actually hasn't been a lot of adventure gameplay. Not since BabsCon actually have we had an adventure result.
Yeah. The beginning of this year was like full adventure, and then after that it was mostly core as well. Like, it's interesting.
Yeah. So it's in that sense it's a lot less clear what there even is out there to worry about in adventure, aside from Luna, obviously. Yeah. And I have a couple thoughts about that particular deck. I'll save it till the end. And so because everyone's attention is on core right now, that seems like the obvious place to start for what you're thinking about, man.
I don't know what I would ban, but I know a card that's definitely getting banned, and that's Mistmane, right?
Seems reasonable. Yes.
That's the first card that comes to mind, and it accesses a lot of decks.
It does, and I mean that's probably one of the reasons that would potentially prevent people from picking it, is that it's not a targeted ban. It hits a lot of different things.
Yeah, but like somebody's gonna ban it. Like I'm pretty like, if it's not actually going to be banned, I don't know. It's just not gonna happen. I don't think so.
It seems,
unless everybody thinks that, oh, somebody's gonna ban it, so I won't ban it, and then nobody bans it.
Right. Right. That's a possibility too. Yeah. But yeah, that will hit Royal Tutor. That will hit Chrysalis.
I mean, any control deck, really.
Any control deck. Even the Reanimator deck runs it too, actually. Oh yeah, it's almost any white deck these days.
Yeah. I mean, some decks that are not white also run Mistmane.
It's true. Yeah. So yeah, and yeah, I think it's fair to say that there are probably going to be enough wild card people in the tournament who will be willing to take that away from themselves and come up with something creative. Anyway, I think.
Yeah, if Mistmane is getting banned, I'm still trying to play control. I don't care.
It is. It's a lot harder to play control without
It
Mistmane.
is. It is.
Yeah.
But like, that's the archetype I'm most familiar with, and I enjoy actually playing. So, like, that's what I would play anyway.
Makes sense. So I guess I was considering the 8 decks we talked about last week, those 8 contender decks,
Mm-hmm.
as another fine place to start. Admittedly, something could change in Continentals and shake everything up, but these seem like the kind of things that would be on people's mind to be like, yo, what would you want to hit if you wanted to deal with these decks? Okay, bring up Royal Tutor right now. We already talked about Mistmane. If you wanted something a little bit more targeted, would only deal with this deck, there are some options too. Magic Instructor springs to mind. Root of a lot of the shenanigans, more ridiculous shenanigans this deck can do.
I mean, I think a better target would be Tranquility. Because it touches more than just Royal Tutor, and Tranquility is kind of core of the deck for that particular deck as well.
It's a big part of it, yes. Yeah.
But that would be mean.
Well,
Banning Tranquility.
bans are supposed to be mean. That's the whole point.
Like, I honestly think Royal Tutor doesn't really work if you ban Mistmane. You kind of need her, I think. I don't think the deck works without Mistmane. But if you ban Mistmane and then ban Tranquility, it's just that this deck as a concept stops existing.
Yeah. Like I think you can, because of the potential of the lunch break combo, you still have like kind of have a chance without Mistmane, but
It's not like
it's a lot harder, yeah.
yeah. GP points out that Mistmane is much broader. Yeah, like so. My point here is, if you're banning Mistmane, I don't think there's any reason to target this deck even more than that. I think Mistmane is enough to kill this deck.
Yeah. I'm just, asking, say you wanted to have a meta where Mistmane was still in, but this deck was a lot harder, then what cards would you go for?
I would go for Tranquility.
Yeah. Fair call. Very fair call.
Saddle Row Storefront is also an interesting option.
Saddle Row, yeah. That hits a couple of other decks too.
Mm-hmm.
And it is also a big resource generator. I mentioned Guidance Counselor already. No, wait, I mentioned Magic Instructor, not Guidance Counselor. Kind of look over this. And cards like Luster Dawn and Guidance Counselor do kind of stand out, but they're not the biggest, most ridiculous things.
Are the bans public? Like, do you know who banned what?
You will not know who banned what. No.
Okay.
I doubt that's going to be much of an issue.
No, I don't think so. It's just
I'm sure everyone will
funny.
say what they banned as soon as it comes up. And for what it's worth, obviously, I have no ability to prevent people from coordinating their bans if people want to do that.
Yeah, there's no way to prevent that.
Yeah. However, of course, there's no way that you can absolutely trust the other guy to do what he's agreed to do.
What are we playing diplomacy pre-game?
I appreciate all the extra mind games that this potentially throws in, to the extent that it throws any in. Oh yeah, that's Royal Tudor. Next up on the list was Silverstream White. I think this is a reasonable time to bring in. Pages sent us a message before the stream today,
Yep.
or not today, with his top 5 list of cards to ban. So I'll just
Yeah.
Number 1 was Bodyguard. Number 2 was Bodyguard. Number 3 was Bodyguard again. Number 4 was Bodyguard once more, and number 5 was Trihorn Bunyip. No, it was Bodyguard.
No, it was
But yeah, definitely a key card. A card that's been the bane of so many people's existence for so long. Sequestria was so long ago.
oh yeah. 6 years.
Mm-hmm. Not maybe. Well, I was gonna say not maybe the first card you would think, but no, it's
Would you ban bodyguards in adventure or in core or both? Can you ban both, or do you have to decide?
you would
I'm
have
not
to
sure.
coordinate with somebody if you wanted to ban it in both
Yeah.
formats.
So would you ban an adventure or core?
So the thing about adventure is that there are a lot more good cards, right? Granted, there's nothing else out there that does what Bodyguard does. And yeah, it was 4 or 5 months ago now, but yes, BRB was leading in adventure last time I checked. So it would definitely be a really good choice in adventure. And I would say, yeah, that would be a nice tactical choice to ban it in adventure. If you kind of make the assumption that somebody else is going to ban Mistbane, there it is in this deck too, then maybe you can work on the adventure side instead.
Well, this deck can function without Mistbane.
It can. It can. This being a control deck, yeah. Another option is a piece of the We're Back Lord Tyrek loop, probably the event, the one that came in second. Features in many control decks these days. Again, that's the more scalpel like effect rather than taking Bodyguard away from everybody.
Yeah, you kind of like. I don't know. Will someone ban that? It's very targeted ban.
It is very targeted. Yes. Okay, so maybe like there's 2 different philosophies to approach it by. You can either try to go for entire archetypes, or try to go for specific things.
Okay,
I
so
guess
what we should do is the 8 players of the Invitationals should make up a council to decide which 8 cards to ban together for the most fun and interesting format.
Mm-hmm.
That's not gonna happen, but it'll be amazing if it did.
That's an 8-person cartel, which is quite a few for a conspiracy.
Doesn't have to be a conspiracy, but it only takes one person to run.
That's the thing. Yeah, you have to be able to trust everybody.
Yeah, Bodyguards is up there. I don't. I wouldn't ban the We're Back combo
mhm,
because that's like a very specific ban. I think if I was going for a ban, I would try to go broader than that.
sure, that makes sense. And so I'll admit that that's one of the things that I'm a little bit afraid of with these rules. One of the reasons why I want to be as conservative as possible, because if 8 bans is a lot, especially if everyone goes for the same format. Like
Yeah.
it is entirely possible that we just end up with a couple of archetypes getting wiped out, and it's just impossible to play control. It's impossible to play farm, and the whole tournament is just aggro versus aggro. I really don't want that to happen, but it's a
That was my
possibility.
first thought when you said about like the changes. I thought like, yeah, but it feels like control is gonna be wiped out because, well, probably control at this point,
Hmm.
but some sort of archetype, and you'll be kind of forced to play other archetypes to stay competitive.
Yeah, and I think that would like probably definitely have happened if mains were allowed.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what I'm afraid of. Afraid might happen. We'll see. This is an experiment. No guarantee we'll keep this next year. Obviously, we're got a couple of aggro decks farther down the list that we can talk about um, as well. So, speaking of, moving on to, well, this isn't an aggro deck. Crystal's Orange.
Speaking of a not aggro deck,
Yeah, largely similar. Well, no bodyguards, I guess. Um, with, well, yeah, when it comes to any orange deck, Garble's got to be up there on top.
so see, that's why I think I would ban Garble.
That's a very multi-pronged ban for sure. I think that hits basically any orange deck that's possible in core right now.
Yeah,
Is
I
all
think they would still function, but they would be hindered for sure.
yes. Yeah. Uh we'll get to farm later, but it's a super important card there as well.
Yeah,
Like yeah, it's just such a force multiplier for anything orange right now. Um
would you ban latest greatest creation?
that is an option. That forces a lot of these decks to change the way that they're constructed. Like a lot of these singletons here are probably a lot worse without that card.
Yeah, but would you?
It was a card that I thought about. I don't know if I would, because I think it is like that doesn't that forces people to rethink decks, but I don't think that makes anything not viable.
I think that's good.
Well, yes, I mean that's good. Sorry, are you asking me as the tournament runner or as a player?
As a player, yes.
As a player, you want to make like yes, you want to get in the way of other people and you know make it easier for yourself as the deck builder, knowing that certain things just aren't going to be around.
Yeah, makes sense.
Um, I'll admit this deck actually doesn't have a whole lot of other things that I immediately look at. You mentioned Saddle Row when we talked about the first deck. That's been present in every deck we've covered, we've looked at so far. So there's the matter there. Um,
Yeah, it's a good card. That's why I gave it like a 1 or
yeah,
2.
yeah. This deck does this deck still work if you ban the white starting problem?
Oh yeah, I forgot about problems. What if we just all come together and ban all starting problems? What then?
Well, you can't.
I guess there aren't 8 of them. Yeah,
There are,
there's more.
yeah. There's like, you could definitely severely restrict the pool if you did that.
Yeah,
Um,
I think if this would be possible a couple of sets ago,
yeah.
but not now. Especially since we got those colored starting problems. So
Mhm.
anyway,
Yeah. So as Grandpa points out, deck still works without that problem. However, well, as mentioned, maybe if you're the orange farm player, you want Garble to stay in play, but you also want to hit this thing. There's an option.
yeah. I wonder if anyone will ban blackmail.
In adventure, eh?
Yeah, like I forgot about that problems exist,
Mm-hmm.
but now that you reminded me, it's like if I had to ban a problem, which one would that be? No, just like Mistmane, blackmail comes to mind immediately.
Yeah,
Trading traditions could be also an interesting pick, but I think we've talked about that
yeah,
before.
yeah. So like the thing about train editions, of course, is that it's not it doesn't hit Bluna anymore because she starts with the blue starting problem.
Yeah,
That like so yes, still very good against all the control decks in adventure. Um, but not as super severe as it used to be. Um, I mean we'll get to this actually, but I found myself looking at Buckball strategy as a potential ban against the aggro decks in core, which use confront to flip mains.
yeah,
I know Thorax actually leans quite heavily on that problem to fix the requirements early. The way that this particular list is constructed. But yeah, train traditions is yeah, as has been pointed out already. It's one of the most aggressive sort of chaos bans in adventure. If you want to just completely throw everything we know about that format out the window and make people start fresh, that's what you would ban. Yeah.
yeah.
I suppose if you're confident in your deck building abilities, then that's what you should ban. Or at least confident that you're the best deck builder in the tournament.
I'm not, but Invitationals usually have some of the best deck builders.
That is the intention. It is meant to be a tournament as much about deck building as it is about playing well.
Yeah.
So move us along to Cadence Blue. So when it comes to aggro decks and mid-range decks, I think again we can debate this, but I think there's a slightly different philosophy that you could ascribe to. Like when it comes to control decks and combo decks, you just you go for their big, impactful win condition cards. But I think you can, with aggro decks and like this one, for example, in pink blue, you can pick off resource removal because there aren't very many ways to do that in those colors. You can pick off their really impactful entry cards and force them to change the way they play to start with. And I think actually, Loyal Pony is a very impactful card in the way this deck functions.
I mean, I guess, but I don't think anyone would ban Loyal Pony. G in the chat mentions Plushy Dash, which
Yeah.
is a fair choice.
Yeah.
But I also wouldn't ban that.
Plushy Dash is like, I am well aware, having watched Invitational games enough, so many of them seem to sometimes come down to just when people draw Plushy Dash. Yes, it is a huge swing turn card.
It's kind of interesting that for control in some other decks, you can just ban like one card and the deck doesn't exist anymore.
Mhm.
But for aggro, you can't really do that because aggro is usually just a bunch of good cards.
Yes. Yeah.
There's
Well,
rarely a fundamental piece to the deck.
yeah. Aggro is
Unless it's a main.
generally built around the idea of, if the game ends fast, then you're drawing a smaller proportion of your deck. Therefore, your deck needs to be better in general. Like, I guess, individually more consistent. What's the word I'm looking for here?
Yeah.
The strength of each individual card needs to be spread more uniformly through the draw deck, rather than control decks which can have it concentrated in particular key cards that you're looking for. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But that's also why I think, like you said, you're gonna afraid that like people will overban stuff and it'll be hard to play anything but aggro. But I think like aggro will be the survivor of that.
It's
Like,
possible.
If an archetype, if there will be the last archetype standing, it'll be aggro.
Well, yes, that's the same that, like, the way that limited always kind of tends to boil down to aggro for largely
Maybe
the same.
mid-range. Mid-range could also work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, for one thing, I guess people haven't been mentioning a lot of removal cards thus far in this conversation. Bodyguard obviously is a removal amplifier, but cards like Belly Flop and It's Gonna Work and all that are apparently not top of people's mind.
It's just like, okay, you ban. I thought about Belly Flop and like, yeah, okay, you ban Belly Flop. Now what? I don't think anything is changing. There's enough substitutes, I think, especially in pink. Like, this deck could run Chaos Magic Blast instead of Belly Flop.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be a little worse, but it's like barely a difference, I think. Compared to banning Mistmane, which takes out entire decks.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yet still, the question is, if you are a control deck, right? Or, sorry, if you are a control-oriented player, such as yourself, honestly, and you want to make it harder for your aggro opponent, then what do you choose?
I don't know.
And fair enough, maybe you pick something in yellow, because that's legitimately true. You only have one choice.
It's just hard to target aggro. It's you can't really name a card. Like, not just this deck, but in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't really do like. There's many flavors of aggro. Plushy Dash was mentioned, but like people play yellow aggro, which doesn't run Plushy Dash. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe problems, but even problems are replaceable. Like, if you ban some sort of high bonus problem, well, there's other problems.
Yeah. No, I think
it's hard to put a dent in aggro. That's my opinion on that.
It is probably legitimately the case that if you were going to ban a problem, it would have to be either a starting problem or else potentially blackmail. That's the only other problem I could think of, other than a starting problem, that could be at all worth banning.
Lacking lesson plans could be an interesting ban if you're planning to run TM control.
That's a fair call. Yeah.
Maybe get back to good old Tempest Grubber start.
That would be a very legitimate point. Yeah. Not, all of these decks do have ways around it, yeah, but
yes, but It hinders the early game a little bit, which
especially
is
especially the yellow ones that are usually confront-a-flip mains these days.
yeah, like Thorax. But at the same time, yellow has like Thorax can just start with Buckball and then deal with DMs through
Yeah,
cards
yeah.
because yellow is particularly good against DMs.
hmm hmm
Oh, I'm so glad I didn't have like okay, if Middlebrook was not banned, that's the card I would ban.
Well, yes, yeah.
Immediately.
And that
Not even
is,
spend a second thinking about it.
I'm just going to move on to Thorax here. But that is an interesting idea and an interesting thought. Um, this is a somewhat crazier way to run it, but you could have said that this format was going to be core. We wipe the ban list, and then everyone gets to ban a card.
No.
But that would be still that would be silly. Yes.
I mean, I would love mimics and old money. You can't ban them all, right?
Well,
Like if it was adventure wipe list banned, and then we ban eight cards, literally cannot ban all of them.
yeah. No.
You would either have like AJ or you would have bulk.
Yeah. That just turns
Antipas.
into nightmare. Yes. Fair enough. Silly idea.
I mean, it sounds fun,
It sounds
but
fun
not
the
for a
same way.
competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds fun the same way Nightmare sounds fun.
Yes.
It sounds fun, but it's not actually fun.
No, you should have given players a choice, like either unban a card or ban a card. I wouldn't ban mimics or old money. I
Well,
wouldn't ban old money for adventure.
everybody would unban cards. That's the problem. And what if, like,
Beagle wouldn't ban main six. That's the one.
yeah. And what if, say, you wanted to unban something, and somebody else also wanted to ban that card?
The ban wins.
Fair enough. So anyway, here we are looking at Thorax right now. We already mentioned, I think, lesson plans as a possibility. Yellow in general is much more uniform. Like you can knock off the point acceleration, or at least one of the point acceleration pieces. Bunyip, I guess.
I think birds of feather.
Yes.
Of a feather is
Yes. Yeah.
the clear highlight here.
Is definitely the big piece. I mean that is one way of looking at it for sure. If there's a card in the deck that you would want to get rid of as soon as it hit play, maybe get rid of it before the guy starts building his deck.
Yep. But even that without her, like this deck still
Oh,
functions.
yes. Absolutely.
Definitely.
Still functions. Yeah. And there aren't many other cards that stick out as serious. And I guess what are the cards that are in here to be answers to other things? Those are legitimate points to look at.
Iona is an interesting card.
Yeah. Get rid of that, you'd have an easier time playing an Alicorn's list.
Yep. That's actually an interesting point. Is there anything you can ban to not remove an archetype, but to bring another archetype to life?
Mm-hmm.
Something that inhibits some particular kind of deck in the current meta. Like Middlebrook was a while ago, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And Yona is one of cards like that, I
Mm-hmm,
think.
mm-hmm. Like, so I was thinking about Orange Farm. Like Desert Road is one of the cards you could pick for that reason.
Hmm.
see what I had in my list. I think actually you could make the argument that Pages was going that direction with bodyguards.
What kind of decks does removing bodyguards enable?
Um, decks that, like, like Thorax actually would prefer that card not be around because Thorax is going to be starting face-offs generally as a rule, or
Yeah, but
wanting
Thorax is
to the degree
already enabled.
possible. Well, maybe you want to enable it further.
But yeah, I think enabling things is a better philosophy to go about bans rather than
Okay.
removing decks. That's at least what I feel like.
Then, like, well, maybe I've been talking to Pancake too much, but farm is a format or an archetype that has been suppressed to some extent. I don't know immediately which cards I would want to get rid of to bring it more to the fore.
So what farm doesn't like? It doesn't like moving, it doesn't
Mhm,
like problem replacements, it doesn't like yellow stuff.
mhm.
Uh, for yellow stuff, you have. What do you have? You have Sanctuary Construction, right? You also have Focused Attention. That's a pretty annoying card.
Mhm.
What
Uh,
other things do you have? Scary Stories
yeah,
annoying,
yeah,
I
yeah,
guess.
yeah. Scary Story's bad against farm, or good against farm, rather. Uh, you already brought it up, but lacking lesson plans is a
Yes.
particularly amazing starting problem against farm. Yeah.
Yeah, lacking lesson plans could be an interesting ban for farm as well. Especially against Thorax, since we have Thorax on screen.
Mhm.
It'll be much harder to confront for Thorax.
In the pink world,
You have Discord.
Discord, yes.
But Discord is replaceable by Bait and Switch, right? Bait and
Hmm.
Switch is a little more annoying to play, but it still exists.
Yeah,
So I don't think you can solve the problem by just getting rid of Discord.
right. Discord is it still a must have in Cadence these days? Because Final Question's not a thing anymore.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, yeah. One of those options is going to be in pink control anyway. So
Yeah. Discord or Smile. Yeah.
and on the purple side, the force movement side,
Worn Out.
I mean, yeah, worn out's the card that comes to mind.
I mean, Purple has other movement stuff, but Worn Out is the best one.
Hmm.
In core, anyway. In Adventure, you can. There's more stuff.
Yeah, yeah. That's an interesting thing, and I guess I'm interested to really see how that works out because no one's been thinking about adventure or well, it would seem not thinking about core, and because the card pool in adventure is so much bigger. I wonder if anyone's actually going to go for adventure to ban things, or if everyone's just going to be thinking about core.
Well, so the thing is, in Invitational Adventures, like an equal format to core. It's not one is not preferred over the other,
Hmm.
and maybe you have like your money in some sort of adventure deck you're gonna play, and you would want to ban the thing that hinders it.
That's reasonable. Yes. Like I guess I just think that a single ban is always going to be more impactful in core than it is in adventure.
That
Uh,
is true. The banning Mistmane in adventure is just as bad as banning it in core.
yeah. I guess that is, well, yeah, another thing to think about and wonder about because, yeah, probably the people who want Mistmane out in core are going to be the same people who want it out in adventure. And
I
so,
know we have Sweetie, but like, Sweetie is not for control decks. I don't think so. She's okay for combo. If you're like doing infinite IT, who cares how much IT is spent per point? But Mistmane is big not just in combo decks, right? She's huge in control as well, and I don't think Sweetie replaces her in adventure.
well, certainly not. Sweetie is just a point engine, not a recursion
Yes.
engine. So,
She can kind of do recursion a little bit. She brings cards back.
not untrue. Don't know if I've ever seen it used for that purpose.
No. It's a 6 AT per card. And you can only do it once per Sweetie.
Oh yeah, and then yes, Pause brings up a good point that adventure control does have other ways of doing recursion. So
Yeah,
it's
I love
fair.
cleaning up. If we could unban old money, I know which deck I would play in adventure. It would not be competitive, but I love that deck.
So what you're saying is you're pretty pleased, Sim, unban old money just for me. I won't break it.
Yes, that deck was really nice.
That's going to move us on to Fluttershy Blue. I don't know if there's anything particularly in here that we haven't already covered, because we've already talked about blue and yellow.
Yes, Stick. That's the card that's not going to be banned.
Probably not.
But ask us back in Sequestria, that will be the top card on everybody's mind. Well, and Mimics, I guess.
yeah, yeah, that's fair.
And main 6 before they got banned. Okay, there would be some other cards, but Stick would be in the list as well.
Yeah, but yeah, here there's other options. There's the blue cards we've already mentioned. Bunyip we've already mentioned. Some more kind of heart cards like Cloud Chaser and Flitter and Shoeshine that tend to come up often in these matchups.
Still have Yona.
Still have Yona. Yeah, I looked at the wrong Yona at first for a second there.
So GP says that Bunyip is better choice here than for Thorax.
Which makes sense.
But here's the question: would you rather go for Bunyip or Plushy Dash here?
Well, it depends on what decks you're going to play. I think. If you were playing a control or farm list, you would prefer to get rid of Plushy Dash.
Yes, correct.
If you were playing another aggro deck that wasn't planning on running Bunyip, you would prefer. Well, Plushy Dash
I'm not
is
sure
another
about
possibility.
that. If you're playing control, definitely Plushy Dash. But if you're playing aggro, I don't know.
Yeah, it's closer. It's like, yeah, Plushy Dash is still a reasonable choice if you're playing control. Yeah. If you're playing like a mono blue aggro and you wanted to get rid of the yellow aggros, then you get rid of Bunyip for sure.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Or a blue pink, perhaps.
We need Sokol in Invitationals so he can bring Seleno. So we can ban the Tempest Troublemaker. That would be so mean.
I guess he might be. I think like he's usually there for Everfree.
We'll see.
Theoretically possible.
Banning the Tempest Troublemaker just against Sokol would be very mean.
Yeah. Force him to build a new deck.
Okay, so we talked about what makes farm happy. I want to talk about what makes farm sad. How we can make Pancake sad.
Okay. Sure. Let's just. Yeah, I have farm.
Yeah, we can go back to Skystar
here on the end. Yeah, let's skip ahead. for what it's worth, you mentioned Pancake. It's not necessarily immediately necessary that Pancake would be playing this farm deck. He actually has tended to shy away from orange core. But he also tends to play as many farm decks as he possibly can in Invitational. So reasonable thought.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Grandpa has already said a lot of things I was going to say. Grogar is actually a pretty big one. Last
Garbage.
villain remaining in core. I meant to say Grogar.
Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, as mentioned, every orange deck hates to see Garble go. Same truth.
Yeah. 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 So Grogar is an interesting pick, but also hurts control decks.
Yes.
It's kind of hard.
Yeah. Hard for you, not hard for the not hard for an aggro player to pick.
Yeah. I guess that's true. Do you think aggro players would be most concerned with farm?
Maybe if their other deck is a control deck.
Sure. I guess as an aggro player, you just ban Grogar, right? Because it hits both control decks, TM control anyway, and farming decks. It's a win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, GP also mentions stick. Yeah,
that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, stick hurts any farm deck, orange or not orange. So I guess banning stick would make Pancake pretty sad.
Yeah. Yep. Other potentials. I mentioned Desert Road as the kind of techie choice.
Desert Road could be an interesting pick, not to target a particular deck, but to enable yours.
Yeah.
Like a BRB style deck would love to ban Desert Road. Then you don't have to run anything but what's her name? Flurry Heart for resource removal. So nice.
Mm-hmm.
No need to think, oh, but what if they play Desert Road? They won't. Maybe that's
Admittedly,
what I will ban, huh?
if you ban Desert Road, well, there aren't that many resources they're even going to be playing. Well, Stick and Pirate Ship, I guess, still enough.
Well, for this deck, yes.
Yeah.
But also other decks play like. I have a feeling that Desert Road is gonna be banned by someone.
Fair enough. And then I guess Catajack also kind of stands out a little bit as
Oh yeah, good point.
the deck's
Yeah.
only kind of way to get back against aggro decks often enough.
Yeah. Especially if you play whiteboard, Catajack can be really annoying. Would Thorax ban Catajack? Maybe.
Maybe. But, well, yeah, again, depends on if farm's the thing that he's most afraid of. So yeah, we skipped over Star. Let's just quickly run back. She's the last of the big core ones. An interesting one to look at. There's bodyguards again, as Paige has mentioned. There's Twilight is probably the biggest of the tricorns to look at.
I'm looking at the Royal Family.
Royal Family as well.
I think without Royal Family, you kind of have to rebuild this deck back into Orchid Blossom.
Now, you do still have draws, but
and +1, I guess.
And +1 and Catchy Song, yeah.
Catchy Song is hard, but yeah, I think Royal Family would be a big hit. You could also get rid of Pinky Sense. That's an interesting one.
Pinky Sense, eh? Is that still? Let me look again. Is that in the other Silverstream deck?
I don't think it is. Well, there's only one.
Yeah, that's right. It's It's
Yeah, it is. It is.
um
Oh,
and
it's not.
if Pancake brings the Chaos Farm list, then that's definitely in there as well.
Yeah. GP mentions that the deck is much worse without Twy. Yeah.
Mhm.
Twy is really annoying.
Yeah. Definitely the most impactful of the three tricorns in here.
Yeah.
In my past of watching invitational matches, I have found this is perhaps an outside, maybe less likely option, but Parachute is annoying to lots of decks sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. Although less so with Feet of Peak in the meta.
Less so, yes.
But yes, I hate Parachute.
Often enough, yeah. Any other options?
This deck has a lot of cards that we have mentioned already.
Yes, that's true. We did already mention Catajag. Well, I mean, would also get hit. I mean, you wouldn't ban it for this deck, but would also get hit.
You have Catajag, you have Bodyguard, you have Smile, you have Belly Flop. Like, oh my god, we can ban Rushed Makeover and make everybody miserable.
Rush Makeover is a card that would make everybody in core miserable. Yes, except for Grogar.
Just how about I hate everyone? Nobody gets to have fun.
Everyone has to. Well, the other side of that is everyone has to play normal, fair, regular colors.
Yes.
But it would definitely be, that would be another very bold kind of. I want to do a big shuffle on the meta and trust myself to build the best thing that comes after it kind of ban. Yes. So we have a little bit of time left on the end here to think about adventure. There are 3 decks that really come to mind about the format. Like I mentioned already, we don't have a whole lot of data about it recently, but BRB what was super dominant last time we checked. It has a lot of cards in it. Obviously, it has a lot of good cards in it. You can hit Portal, of course.
So, I think Portal will be a big hit to Purple, Orange, White BRB.
Mm-hmm.
But Pink, Purple will still survive. Pink,
Yeah.
Purple, White. Because it has so many other options. You get Party Clasher, you get Luna's Features is still a thing, even though it's not as good. You get also Trixie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Trixie is like she's pretty expensive and not immediate, but she might be good enough. Like I think Purple, Pink, White would survive. That's what I think.
Okay. Is there
Neither
a?
are immediate. Party Clasher is kind of immediate.
It's the part that you care about is immediate, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, it is proactive, but it is immediate, yes.
Yeah.
Which I think is fine.
Looks like Grandpa doesn't agree with you.
I think the orange one is dead. Party Clasher is one. Yes, it is, but like, I think it's fine.
So sounds.
We could ban mains, I would ban Bluna.
if we could ban mains, I'm sure many people would ban Bluna. That's that's definitely the thing I'm most afraid of for adventure.
That's a good thing. What
Is
do you mean?
Like,
Can we just all agree that we ban Bluna? Except Smithers, but his opinion doesn't matter. Skystar and Core, yeah.
yeah, and well, yeah, that's the other bit. Yes, like if you ban mains, you're allowed to destroy like multiple archetypes in a single ban, right?
Yeah.
And like we've talked about how decks can be resilient to single cards, but they're often not so when it comes to mains.
Yes.
It's a lot harder to swap out a main and keep the deck working basically the same way. So I think
I'm sure yellow can afford it.
yellow is like the one color that maybe could be able to afford it.
Blue has some options too. You can run other things. Although, like, you will not be able to run hasty kind of things because that's kind of the entire point of blue decks. But blue aggro, there's still good mains out there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So speaking of Bluna, as already mentioned in our whole discourse about aggro decks, there's no way to snipe Bluna aggro. It's going to be possible no matter what you ban, but there are still. Sorry.
Okay, so if one player bans trading traditions, and another player bans Tarnished Reputation, right? No, it was renamed now, right? I
Yeah.
don't remember. But
Uh.
the other problem that was the nerfed Tarnished Reputation.
Yeah.
What does Bluna run?
You some low confront, easy to confront thing. You
I guess
miss.
like ball champion strategy.
Yeah. Yeah. Buckball probably.
So we ban that too.
Okay. So
Conspiracy against Bluna. Let's go.
admittedly, conspiracy against Bluna is probably one of the conspiracies that might actually fly if everyone wanted to get together and try banning stuff, except for Smithers, obviously.
Yeah, but he's not going to be part of the conspiracy. Although I guess if you wanted to target specifically Bluna, it's much easier to not ban problems and start just banning hasty stuff.
You ban like all the blue entry.
Oh yeah, or that, yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. Just ban entry. Would anyone ban barrel? I don't think so.
I think Bugle might.
I don't know. He likes barrel so much he runs 6 of them.
He's a consistent wild card. That's what I know about him.
Yes, I'm excited to see what people are gonna ban because as much as we can theory craft, who knows what people are gonna pick?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it'll be some chaotic picks, and I'm all for that.
Yeah, yeah. That's the hopeful message to take away from this. Is yeah, we can talk and theorize all day long. We have no idea what's going to happen. We have no idea. Well, we have some ideas, but we don't know for sure yet who's even going to be in the Invitational yet.
Yeah.
Continentals decides all, as it always does. But there's plenty to look forward to on this. It's going to be something new and interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that feels like a reasonable point to end on.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything else you wanted to add?
No.
Alrighty.
Please
Well,
don't ban Mistmain.
yeah, we will see. We will see. Yeah, you of all people will have the chance to lobby for bans at Continentals in less than a week, probably. I actually wonder how many people are gonna. Yeah. Anyway, yes. As mentioned, Everfree is in less than a week. Hope you enjoyed your break from thinking about Continentals to think about this for a while. But I guess it's time to go back and practice up more.
Absolutely.
We will be back 2 weeks from now on the 19th to announce the invitational people, the people who are going to be invited to the tournament, and to kick off the proper ban phase, and also to talk about the Continentals decks, probably.
Result, probably.
So, yeah, look forward to that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, until then, I have been Cursor Course.
And I've been Hifrock.
And best of luck at Everfree. See you in 2 weeks.
Bye.